Ready to rock.
Good morning, Madison, Dane County. This is Madison 1670 WTDY. Real estate today. Real estate in the real world. Real facts. Real truth. Real arguments. Real debates. Bill Kessler here with Dan Cruz from Century 21 Affiliated. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bill. It's wonderful to be here. How the heck are you?
I'm good. I see that you're part of the new economy and your morning Java is from McDonald's, not Starbucks.
Yeah, I went for the $1.75 instead of the $2.75.
Right. And I have a recycled bottle of water from my regenerated water at home.
Terrific.
It's all good.
We've
adjusted. We've adjusted just like the rest of the economy.
You got it.
All right, so that leads us to what on earth is going on with real estate now?
Yeah, and I thought one of the fun things we could talk about this morning is what's going on in the whole foreclosure world. And if you've tuned in the last couple episodes, foreclosures is a growing part of our marketplace, and we've touched on them. We've talked about how you attack them, what they mean, what do they mean to the consumers, what do they mean in the marketplace. But there's an interesting thing going on right now is there's seems to be a moratorium. And I just wanted to kind of get your viewpoint on what is a moratorium and how does it affect the market?
The government is a wonderful thing, and we, like every other industry, do need to be regulated. So I firmly believe that. What happens in times of stress, in times of collapse, in times of unexplained occurrences, the government, as people, have a tendency to overreact and overcorrect. It's kind of like the steering wheel on ice. You just kind of let it flow, and you're going to get through the slide, but if you whip that wheel around, you're going to do spins and get into the ditch. And a few of those things have happened, and they were expected. The latest here in October is that the government decided that there wasn't due diligence on some of the foreclosure loans and foreclosure process, and they picked on 23 states. Gosh knows why. One of them was Wisconsin. And they put in a moratorium to cease and desist closings until they figured out if they're doing a good job on the due diligence.
Okay. So what does that mean? What does that mean to the market?
Well, a couple things. It's and we're going to talk later this morning about statistics, because both of us are statistical nuts. But it will affect what's going on with the October closings, and therefore the beginning of the fourth quarter of 2010 closings, because they'll delay them. I'm sure some buyers are going to say, hey, it's a good sign that I shouldn't do this, karma, bad thoughts, or I can't wait, I got to delay, I got to do something else, got to rent. So it's going to affect some properties, some buyers, some sellers in terms of what's going to happen, and it'll probably be a trickle-down effect, because often foreclosure is a part of a chain of events, the sale of a variety of homes that end up in the foreclosure sale at the bottom end. So we don't know yet, and but it certainly is not a positive effect of the marketplace. But you and I have talked many times about when there is chaos, when there's blood on the streets. What a great time if you have a clear head, and if you can sail down the middle of the river, as opposed to this overcorrection of the steering wheel and sliding into the ditch. There's opportunity.
Well, the interesting part about that is not only, okay, is this going to affect what's happening right now, but as you talked about, maybe Q1 of next year, because this is just a delay of the inevitable. I mean, these properties are going to get onto the marketplace. They are going to sell eventually, and really it's kind of just delaying that process, if I'm understanding this whole thing right. And really, I think you and I both agree, we really need to get these properties on the market. They need to take through the cycle, they need to be sold, and then have real homeowners back into them.
Right. Probably should explain to our listeners, Q1, of course, means the first quarter of 2011.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I thought you were talking about Australians for a minute. So, it will.
Hey, aren't you glad that somebody's here to laugh at your joke?
My wife is sick of them. So that is good. Although we do have a college student staying with us now, and my material is fresh to her, so that's good.
That will end real quick.
It is winding down.
Yeah.
All right, getting back to the real facts, the real truth about what's happening in the marketplace. We don't know yet what exactly the effect is going to be of this moratorium, because we don't know how long it will have lasted, and part two, what the lasting effects of that short-term moratorium are going to be. But it'll certainly be a negative impact on statistics. And we can get back to foreclosures, but while we're on statistics, we should probably talk about the overall picture of what's happened nationally and locally in terms of statistics, i.e. number of sales and average sales price in 2010 year to date, because we have the first 3 quarters in the books. And we can talk about how that compared to 2009 and how that compared to what many use as a good historical year, which is 2000, which is a level year, and then compare it to the boomist year, which is 2005.
Well, let's look at 2010 first, because
Sure.
I think there's a lot of dynamics about 2010 that the general public doesn't really see all the full scope of, and can be confusing. And primarily because there's 2 significant things that took place, one in 2009, one in 2010, and that was the tax credit. And those tax credits caused some interesting changes in our market cycles. For an example, when the 2010 tax credit took place, you had to have an accepted offer by the end of May, it had to close by the end of June. Well, that meant that we bumped up a lot of closings that may have taken place throughout the rest of the summer. And July, we had a really, really slow month for closings. Once that happened, everything we heard out there was July was the worst month we've seen in the last 10 years in real estate, this, that, and the other, when it really wasn't a fair picture because June was such a good month for closings and nobody told that end of the story.
And those 2 figures are classic examples of the shift in the swing of the steering wheel and the overreaction of, ooh, the market's great, it's back, well, look, it's rocking, to, oh my gosh, now it's a disaster. And of course, neither was the case.
Right. And we will see another trend with that in Q4, quarter 4 of this year, because of the tax credit that took place in 2009. The tax credit of 2009 actually sparked a lot of activity towards the end of the year because it was a November tax credit, and we actually had a really good 4th quarter on the books for 2009. So when you compare quarter 4 of 2010 to quarter 4 of 2009, you're going to see some distinct differences. And I would guess that we're probably going to hear a lot of talk out there over the next couple months of, wow, quarter 4 of this year is so bad for the housing market, yada, 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 when it really isn't a true depiction of what's going on in the marketplace.
Right. So as a Christmas present to all of us in real estate, right around the end of December, they'll have the November figures come out, and the combination of this moratorium we spoke of earlier, coupled with the boom of closings at the end of November '09, will lead to a dramatic drop-off in closings for November 10 versus November 9.
So if you're an intelligent listener out there and you want to take advantage of
we all are, right?
if you want to take advantage of some awesome opportunities, here's what I'm willing to guess is that a lot of people are going to go, wow, the housing market really looks bad the quarter 4 of this year, when in reality it's not as bad as you think, and there's probably some awesome opportunities to take advantage of in this winter. I mean, there could be some of the best opportunities ever this winter than we've seen in the last 10 years.
So does that mean the prices are going to drop again and we should wait?
Well, not necessarily. Prices could drop, but we don't have crystal balls. We don't know what's going to happen with that stuff. And if there's opportunities now and people are not unsure, get in there and negotiate. You never know what's going to happen. Get in there and negotiate.
The philosophy that we have, that we share, is that the housing market is just like the stock market, just like the gold market, just like the currency exchange market between countries. What's the euro going to be worth tomorrow versus the dollar? Who knows? And if we knew where the bottom or the top was, of course we'd all be buying and selling. We wouldn't be doing the radio show.
Right.
We'd be somewhere in the Caribbean or
Right.
climbing Mount Everest. So we don't, and neither does anybody else. So whether it's prognosticators that do this for a living, such as the National Association of Realtors or Department of Labor and Health Statistics, or if it's the conservative pundits or the liberal pundits, none of us really know.
Mm-hmm.
All we do know is that prices now on selected housing is like incredibly inexpensive.
Yeah.
And we do know that historically interest rates are unbelievably low.
Mm-hmm.
So the combination has led many smart people to figure out that now is the time to make a move. And as we've talked in our little infomercials, when there's blood on the streets, when others are panicking, when others are sitting on their hands, when others are nervous, the time to do something because there's opportunity.
Yep. And I'd be willing to guess because seasonality-wise, winter there's not as much action as there in the spring and summer. So the lack of action probably is going to cause some great opportunities out there. And with all the housing market trends we've been talking about with Q4 of this year compared to last year, there's going to be some awesome opportunities for somebody to purchase, great opportunities for investors. I mean, if you're an investor out there, now is really a great time to buy. And like I said, interest rates are so low, money's cheap.
Let's talk about a couple of those opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and let's also talk about stuff that because we don't want to be just total Pollyannas here, and say that everything is great and all sellers should sell and all buyers should buy because there are exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can talk about some specific sub-markets in the Dane County area that might lead to a great time to do something. One of them would be investing, as you said, into single-family homes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you're an investor with access to money right now, like I said, you can buy cheap. There's great opportunities. And quite frankly, if you're buying single-family homes, whether I know people right now that are purchasing, renovating, and reselling, or purchasing and renting out, there's a great opportunity to build wealth and equity in properties right now, even if you're just purchasing and renting them out. As an investor, there's some really good buys out there. And as we talked about in past shows, your return on investment, based on the historical data of recent for the stock market, is much better in real estate.
Right. Well, let me give one example of someone that we know that in the last few days did something, and we'll let the listener figure out the cash flow, and then we'll go into break. So this is the home on the east side of Madison that was foreclosed, unfortunately, and the city assessment on the home was $140,000. The bank put it on the market for $98,000 because it needed tons of work, but doable work. After negotiation, the buyer purchased the property for $86,000, and he's going to put about $15,000 into it, so about $100,000 investment. And he has a tenant to rent it for $950 a month. So do the math, anybody, and you can figure out that this, even without appreciation, is a really nice, solid, secure investment because it's a long-term lease. There's many people that are renting now. Time to go to break, and we'll be back. Madison 1670, WDTY. Bill Kessler here with Dan Cruz. Real Estate Today, real facts, real truth.